This is my inspirational client, Michael, who was 71 years old when I took these video clips of him skiing black runs and off-piste terrain last winter. In this video, I'm going to offer some feedback and technical analysis of Mike's skiing that you can learn from if you would like to improve your understanding of skiing technique. So I had the pleasure of spending 4 days with Michael on one of my off-piste courses where we spent the mornings working on ski technique and the afternoons backcountry skiing in the powder. We skied all sorts of tricky terrain and variable snow conditions, so major kudos to Michael. I'll be pretty chuffed if I can get around the mountain having this much fun when I'm in my 70s, so thanks, Mike, for the inspiration. So on this slope, I set the task to link parallel turns down this red run whilst displaying effective posture and maintaining balance and control. So to give you some context, this was a steep red run, more than 30 degrees, and there was a mixture of some soft, fresh snow and then occasional icy, firm patches underneath, and not particularly good visibility either. So if we look at his body position at the beginning of the clip here, we can see some decent skiing posture with flex at the ankles, knees, and hips to make that lightning bolt shape that we like to see from side on. Also does a good job of keeping his hands out in front and reaching the pole plant down the hill to help him commit forward into the next turn. When I first skied with him on steeper slopes, there was some hesitation at the beginning of the turn, which occasionally led him to ending up with his weight falling back onto the heels a little bit. But by focusing on reaching that pole plant down the hill, we're able to get his body weight forward into the middle of the skis where it is much easier to maintain control. And by the way, letting the body weight fall back onto the heels on steeper slopes is a really common problem. And reaching the pole plant down the hill is a pretty simple thing to focus on, and it's a really effective, fairly quick fix for a lot of skiers as they take on steeper slopes. So by having this flexed and fairly athletic skiing posture with the hands and pole plants projecting down the slope, Michael was able to pretty well achieve the task of linking parallel turns and maintaining control. However, one little habit in his skiing was dropping the shoulders and upper body inside the turn, and this was particularly on the turns to his right. So you can see the position here where the upper body is over his right leg, which is the inner ski. And the problem with this is that it takes the weight off that all-important outer ski and it skids out, leading to loss of grip and control. And this body position also makes skiers particularly vulnerable to those occasional icy patches which might take us by surprise. Ideally, the upper body should be moving toward the outer ski, which is toward the camera in this instance, which would improve grip and control and therefore confidence on the outer ski. So we went away onto some easier terrain to work on some balance exercises, particularly over his left leg, as well as some lateral separation exercise. If you're unsure what I'm talking about when I say lateral separation, here's a quick explanation.
The natural thing that humans do when turning is to lean inwards, and we call this banking. But to become an advanced skier, we need to separate how much the upper body leans over from how much the legs lean over. So we can lean the legs over and tip the skis on the edges, but the upper body wants to stay somewhere closer to upright. And that allows us to keep our weight on the outer ski, and it also keeps us in a balanced position where it's easier to go from one turn into the next. And this is what the ski nerds refer to as lateral separation.
Okay, now let's look at another clip where I gave Michael the same task of linking parallel turns whilst displaying strong posture and maintaining balance and control, but this time the terrain was more difficult. This was a black slope about 35 degrees with variable snow conditions again. So some icy moguls buried by some fresh patches of soft snow and not great visibility to see it all again. Fairly tricky conditions to work with, but he manages to achieve the task, linking parallel turns down a tough slope and maintaining control whilst doing so. Now on this run, he managed to avoid dipping the upper body down into the turns as much as he did in the first run, which I think is a win, especially since this is on a more difficult slope. But he could still benefit from a little bit more lateral separation. So at this point here, for example, you can see the inner hand is below the outer hand. Now, if we could get the hands and shoulders at an angle which matches the slope angle a little bit more closely, then it would be less physically demanding to keep weight over the outer ski and maintain control and grip. One more point is that this is a pretty exaggerated transition where he sort of launches up high between turns and lifts the inner ski off the floor. Now, some posture lift between the turns can be helpful as we switch skis, and some posture flex back down as we go around the turn can also be helpful as well, because it gives us suspension to deal with the forces that are coming at us. But there can be too much of a good thing, and this launchy transition momentarily disconnects him from the snow in between turns, which isn't ideal, and it's also quite a lot of wasted effort by flexing and launching quite that much. So it could be beneficial to head back to some easier terrain and do some drills to smoothen out that transition a little bit. But our main goal here was to link parallel turns and maintain control with that strong skiing posture, so he could then get down difficult slopes, pretty good speed, and that allowed us to reap the rewards and have an awesome time skiing in the Porte du Soleil backcountry. And age did not stop him one little bit. Thank you for watching that. I hope you found that useful. Now, if you do get any value from these ski instructional videos, then please do subscribe. It helps me know that what I'm doing is worthwhile, and it will help me to create more of these videos for you in the future. By the way, I've set up a private skiers members community where I offer coaching just like this to skiers all around the world. So if you're interested in getting some tips and feedback on your own skiing, then check out the link in the description, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.